I'm Jason from Speeds Performance Plus. This is my good longtime friend Andrew from
Dark Horse
Strength Works.
Yeah.
Haven't seen each other for
about 6 years.
6 years. Been a while.
Been a while. We've worked together for about 20.
Yeah, at
Least 20 years we worked together.
Yeah, making bikes better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to come out here and shoot a video with you guys and help you install a new Man of War motor sprocket in your bike. And Jason and his crew is going to help us do that. And we're going to show you all the tips and tricks to make sure it's done right. Yep. And some really good points we're going to point out to you guys that we get questions on every day that you guys watch this video and you're going to know exactly what we're talking about.
So you rode my bike about 2 weeks ago because I had a noise in it. Tell me what you found out from that ride.
Well, a lot of these motorcycles, depending on the year, one of the weaknesses of the Harley system is the compensator sprocket itself, which these guys have found a way through their Man of War product to make way better. Here's the product right here. We can get it out and take a peek at it. But what we found over the years is not only on our big motors, but also on our stock motors, that these things are coming apart. They don't have enough spring tension as well. And this product right here, Andrew, it solves the whole bit.
So what it is, it's really a cush drive for your primary. So there's 8 individual isolator cushions inside here, and there's 2 different color cushions. That's 2 different harnesses of the cushions. So you have the green, which are the soft, and you have some black cushions inside here that are the harder cushions. What those do is they help actually make the motor, the greens take up the engine pulse, and the blacks actually make it perform more like a solid sprocket. The great thing about the product is it's 100% rebuildable. You can remove and replace the cushions right on the bike without having to take it off the bike.
Yeah, because here's what happens. The compensator, the stock one, you'll see it when we get it apart, we'll examine it. Here's one that's broken. We've seen many broken ones. They break like this because that's just a cast piece. It's, again, not serviceable. It's not even close to the product this is. And I'm talking not only with big bikes, big motors, I'm talking stock stuff.
Yeah.
You know, then you load up a big bagger, case in point, Bob and Tam's motorcycle here. You know, we loaded up with a couple of riders and our bags and stuff. I mean, we got a lot of weight here. And, you know, and here the cover's off over here. So this is the beginning of taking this apart. And as you can see, these pieces here, once we get it apart, we'll lay it in our hand. But that's on the back side right here. There's no cushion. It slaps up against the outer compensator sprocket.
Yeah, it's really just metal on metal is all it is.
Yep.
And what happens is these 2 ramps, they start to wear out and you get a lot of slop in there. They're not tight anymore. And that's where you get your clunking and your hard shifting. It's hard to find neutral for sure.
So, like when you examine the flyer, I don't know if we get a shot of this, but Andrew, and here's the breakdown of this product, which is tremendous. And what he's talking about right there is the cushions. Those are serviceable, lifetime product. And it slides into the other
the hub.
piece, the hub, yeah.
Yep. So the cool thing about it is that an average rider is going to get about 30 to 40,000 miles out of these cushions, and they can just replace them on the bike. If it's a harder rider or somebody who has more stuffing or more race application stuff, you're going to see a little bit of a shorter life out of the cushions. Yeah. But you're still going to get 10 to 12,000 miles out of them if you're riding it extremely aggressive.
Well, the other thing is to think about, like when we build these big motors, right? Big motors can be a little harder on stuff.
Yeah.
So with the cushion going back and forth on the compensator, it helps absorb some of that shock to the bike and to the rider.
Yeah. So when you're using the product, it's really going to be much nicer than a solid sprocket. There's a lot of companies out there that make great products, and they have solid sprockets available. But when you're using a solid sprocket, you're really going to feel that engine pulse in your floorboards, everywhere, in your hands. This really helps eliminate that, but also give you the performance of a solid sprocket.
Yep.
So what would happen if this broke on me and I'm driving down the highway? What kind of damage could I end up with?
Well, number 1, you'd be calling a tow truck.
Yeah.
Number 2, this could be what we call a catastrophic event.
Correct.
Because if you look at what we have here, okay, you have your primary chain coming off the compensator sprocket, which comes off of the engine. Okay, the primary chain goes to the clutch basket, which drives the transmission, which drives the rear wheels. So if we have issues in this area and that gall darn thing locks up 80 mile an hour, you could have a catastrophic event.
So if it broke and the chain came off, that could just tear up the inside of the motor totally.
Well, we could tear it.
Typically
Yeah.
what'll happen is it'll basically break through. It could break through your outer primary cover or your outer primary and wad up basically back in here. We just had a customer that his primary chain broke and it destroyed the whole front section.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Of the primary.
I've seen them destroy the crankshaft.
Yes.
I mean, it'll make the crankshaft out of round.
Yeah, it'll bend it.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Very easy. So, yeah, again, very important part of the
One of
product.
the questions that we get a lot is what are the other items that you're going to need when you're installing the Man of War motor sprocket? Certain year models, 2007 to 2012, 13, are going to need a oil deflector. And this oil deflector gets glued into the primary cover right in this location. But if you have like a 14, for example, which this is, to present, these are all built into the inner primary cover. So
Just
you don't,
like this one.
Just like this one. So you can see here, it's got the little tip. That's what's directing the oil into the compensator and into the motor sprocket. So the way that the motor sprocket is designed, you can see up in here, there is actually a race that goes in there. It's actually a bushing, a brass bushing that we use. And that's what we want to keep lubricated. Okay, so having that, you're also going to get with the motor sprocket a spacer for the twin cams and then our oil slinger. So the oil slinger works in correlation with the oil deflector in here. So this is going to send oil inside the unit. And there's a channel on the back side. So these holes don't need to line up with each other. They can actually it can just be bolted right on top as your spacer.
Right, so Andrew, in layman's terms, for the folks out there, oil gets in the holes
And it slings it,
distributes and slings it.
and it'll fill the inside of the unit.
Yep.
So hot.
Yeah, I wanted to go see Tesla, and they play Monday at 5, but you can't go. I looked this morning, Bob, he made us group with that dinner with him.
Hold it there for a second, about 5 seconds. I don't know when you have thumbnail yet.
Just bolt on right there. And then,
Okay.
so I don't know.
there's
A little bit of groove.
Yeah, that's normal. Tensioners are going to have these grooves here. That's where the chain rides, and this is where you're going to adjust it to get your chain deflection. This wear here is pretty normal. This actually doesn't look too bad at all. How many miles are on it?
25,000.
That's pretty good. All right, so one of the other things I want to address is the rotor. On 2007 to 2011, some models in 11 do still have the older style rotor on it. But with the 07 to 11, some of the rotors will actually have a cup welded to the front of the rotor, and there's a spring pack inside that. With our motor sprocket, you're not going to be able to use that rotor. You're going to have to get this updated rotor, which is actually flat, and there's no cup welded to it. So this actually helps with making the motor sprocket sit properly where it's supposed to be. The bolt that we like to use this tapered T70 bolt. All of our testing, all the development of the product, we have reused the bolt. I know Harley does say that you should replace the bolt, and you definitely can. But the biggest thing for this is you want this bolt, this tapered T70 Torx bolt is very important. There's some other information out there that this bolt is too long, but that is actually inaccurate. This bolt will work perfectly with our system, and this is the one really we want you to use. The hex bolt, it wasn't really what we designed the unit for. If there are guys out there running it, if you next time you go in for a primary service, see if you can change that bolt out. You're going to get better oil flow into the motor sprocket. It's going to help make everything survive a lot longer. The runout on the sprocket shaft is really, really important, because if the sprocket shaft is over 10 thousandths is our recommendation, our limit, if you will, what happens is the chain gets tight and loose and causes it to make a lot of noise. So we're looking for anything from 10 and under. If it's over 10, you can either do a couple of things. Put your Screaming Eagle compensator back on, unfortunately, or you can have the crankshaft assembly serviced. We can do a balanced true plug and weld and straighten that out for you so you won't have any issues down the road. So Dark Horse Crankworks, we focus on the foundation of the engine. So we do everything from crankshaft services to case repair. We build and manufacture our own crankshaft assemblies. We have our Man of War Signature Series flywheels that we do. We do Timken conversions, lifter bore repair, cylinder stud repair. So anything case related is what we focus on. You know, we rely on Jason at Speeds here to do all the top end work and all the big bore, the combinations and making those things perform. We want to build it to where it's not going to come apart.
So you can send something into you?
Yes.
Like your case?
Yep.
What's a normal turnaround?
Our lead time right now it's about 20 to 25 business days. These last 2 years have been phenomenal for us. We've been extremely busy. Sometimes the lead times change throughout the season. Winter and early spring is going to be usually our busiest time of the year. So.
And where are you guys located?
We are located in Newton, Wisconsin. Actually, Osmond. There's like 5 houses there. It's a very, very small area, but we're in Newton, Wisconsin, which is just south of Green Bay and just north of Milwaukee.
Are you American-made product?
Absolutely, 100% American-made. Yep.
Everybody has that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, me and my son Luke, 4th generation, we're going to branch off a little bit about what Andrew talked about a solid lower end. So with any motor, especially the bigger motors, not to mention the smaller cubic inch motors in our world, you got to start off with a good foundation. Here's the foundation. This is a set of rods here. So what we do when we get a motor in here, Luke, is we send the lower end off to Dark Horse, Andrew at Dark Horse. He assembles the lower end. They use their own rods, like he was talking about, their own stuff. And when we get it back, we actually have a blueprinted bottom end, and it'll be 1/1000 or under run out. What I mean by that is the end of the crankshaft is perfect. When you do that, and I get these back, these things are like glass. I mean, you could set a cup of coffee on your gas tank, even big motors. The other part about it is, lots of times on a set of stock flywheels, they will weld the pin together, dynamically spin balance them. Again, start with your foundation. That's your durability. That's where you got to start. And then from there, we branch off into putting the right cylinder, piston, cam combination, work a lot with cylinder pressure, things like that. You want to make sure these motors are streetable and safe on pump fuel. And it all starts right here.
So me at Dark Horse, so I drive the desk. So you call Dark Horse, I'm going to be the one to help you through the process of getting your parts to us and getting it serviced. The guys back at the shop, we got Alex Sladkey, we got Jacob, and we got several other guys in the shop that do this work every single day and love what they do. So they have such a passion for this job, and that's why we are so proud of the products that they put out. So John Dahmer, one of the owners, Tiger Hoban, one of the owners, Bradley Hoban, and we got Pat Hoban and Tom Hoban, who are all part of the Dark Horse and Hoban family that give us the opportunity to work on this stuff every day and put out a great product for everybody. So
yeah, it's funny because our family was started by my father and my mother, and my grandpa taught my dad, and my dad taught me, and now we're teaching Luke. So we're going on 4 generations. Yeah. And it's just good to work with another family business like this.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
We really build some kick-ass wicked motors.
It's really cool
reliable.
because the younger, the Tiger Hoban and Bradley Hoban, they're the younger, they're the kids, and they just became part owners of the business, and it's nice to see them kind of transferring into that leadership role, which is great for the business. It is getting a younger generation in there.
Yeah.
How long has it been in business?
40 years. Checking the sprocket shaft run out. One of the biggest things that you want to make sure, like I said, it was under 10,000s. This one actually is under 4, which is great. We're really happy with that. So that's going to be really nice to get that chain deflection set and have it nice and quiet for you guys. For this year model and 07 to Milwaukee 8s, Milwaukee 8s do not need this, but the twin cams will. You're going to have this spacer that's going to go on first. and then the motor sprocket will go on.
All day.
Okay, so now when you're checking the alignment between the front sprocket and the rear sprocket, now we're looking for within 25 thousandths. This actually looks really nice. If you have any feeler gauges, we can. Did it feel like it was like right on the money on both?
Right on the money.
Oh, right on. That's awesome.
There was no,
That is perfect. A lot of times you will end up having it great right out of the gate. So you really want to make sure that you do check the alignment because it's super, super important, because if the alignment is off over the 25 thousandths, you will get excessive noise. We're measuring the teeth on the motor sprocket to the teeth on the clutch basket. We want to make sure that these are as precise as possible in alignment.
so when I'm going, see how I take the flat edge of that, I'm going there. So then you look
Yep.
coming towards here, and I'm pushing back and forth. See how that's just nice and straight across
Yep.
on both. And then, like Andrew said, you always want to tighten everything up so it's
Snug it up tight. Yep.
You know, leave all your gadgets off, chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
When the Loctite really starts to build up, it really builds up inside there, and what it'll do is it'll bind everything up at the bottom, and you'll get a false torque reading. We've unfortunately had a couple of situations like that, and it does not turn out pretty.
So I just put a little dab on my threads. Good.
Now this is the most important part of finishing this off, because if the chain is not adjusted properly, it's going to sound like a bucket of marbles. So we require a 1/2 inch of deflection in the chain. So once you get your primary tensioner back in, you'll be able to get in there and you'll click it up. Jason's guy's going to take care of that for us here right now.
So we got, right here we can use that to measure.
So you start clicking it up and you'll see the chain getting tighter at the top. So now what he's going to do is he's going to put the chain, or the straight edge on the top here and measure to the bottom of the chain here, and we're going to go a 1/2 inch. So this seems pretty tight, but it might be right there.
Like right there. I'll go up one. No, it ain't gonna work.
It's a little on the tight side. We're going to loosen that up. So if it's too tight, it'll make a whining noise. You'll hear the chain on the shoe and it'll start to whine. So if you can unclick that. Now once you get it, you want to make sure that you're right at about a 1/2 inch, which is good right there.
You want to make sure it's not putting any tension on the bottom.
Yeah, you don't want it to compress the bottom too much. You know, it is going to move slightly, but you just want to make sure you get a little bit of tension on top. You get it to a 1/2 inch.
Another important thing is fluids. I can't stress enough, engine fluids, primary fluids, and tranny fluids are enormous. If you cheap out on fluids, you're cheaping out on your bike. Fluids, these fluids by Bel-Ray are engineered just for the primary. They engineer them just for the transmission gears, and they're engineered for the motor. And if we're going to pay quality money, we want to make sure we get quality fluids and quality gaskets in our motorcycles. It's just another piece of the puzzle.
A lot of questions I get too, as far as, you know, what does the motor sprocket like for a primary fluid? The motor sprocket doesn't care. Everything in there, the cushions that are inside are chemical and oil resistant. So they don't really, you don't need to have a specific fluid for it. The Bel-Ray is a great product. We use it back at the shop as well. So whatever, or even the clutch manufacturer, go by what the clutch manufacturer is recommending. The motor sprocket doesn't care.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Every gasket we torque, we use special Loctite, different kinds of Loctite. Any place you can get a torque wrench, again, that's what separates you from the crowd.
We just finished up the installation of the Man & War motor sprocket on this 2014 out here in Sturgis. Really hope you guys are going to be happy with it. If you guys have any questions when you're watching this video, feel free to give Dark Horse a call. You can reach me, Andrew, at 920-726-9999. Thanks for having us.
And the website?
And the website is darkhorsecrankworks.com.
Yes. And also, if you're interested in Speeds Performance Plus installing these things,
Yep.
we do have a professional performance rig that travels to all the national motorcycle events. You can check out our schedule at speedsperformanceplus.com. Or we have a shop in Rapid City, South Dakota, 16 miles from Sturgis. The phone numbers for the truck, my brother Jamie, 605-695-1401. My phone number, Jason, I run the shop in Rapid City, is 605-695-2272. Our website is speedsperformanceplus.com. We also have an interesting Facebook page where we update from all the rallies, great products like Andrew's. We're always on the cutting edge of things, putting things together, building reliable power for you guys to enjoy out there. And have a great day.
Right on.